Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I just kind of wanted to do a debrief of the last 2 weeks. I just took my CKM off 2 days ago, so I've had a couple of days to kind of group my thoughts. I won't say I have it all figured out, like what I'm going to do moving forward with all of the info that I have gleaned, but I have some ideas, and I just wanted to kind of debrief on all of the different experiments and things that I have done. So I started off with the sardine fast. That was not pleasant, but it was very eye-opening. I learned a ton through doing the sardine fast, and I'm glad that I did it. Even though I didn't enjoy it, I did learn a lot from it. I also lost almost 5 pounds doing it, and thus far I have maintained that 5-pound loss. Just a quick break to say thank you to Element for sponsoring today's video. Element is an electrolyte supplement that I use all year round. I love it any time of the year, but there's something actually really magical about the summertime and working out in the heat and getting thirsty and then like guzzling down a big cup of Element. They have all kinds of fruity, refreshing flavors. I love them all. My current favorite is grapefruit. That is their seasonal flavor that they have for the summer. So I've really been enjoying that during the heat this year. My kids have been enjoying it as well. Charity just told me yesterday that it is her favorite flavor also. And I really love that it helps us stay hydrated, but also doesn't give us any of the junk. No sugar, it's just sweetened with stevia. And right now, Element is offering a deal to my viewers where if you place any order on their website using my link here on the screen or down in the description, you can get a free sample pack with any order. The sample pack has all 8 of their regular flavors, and you get to try out all of their regular flavors. Look, there's the chocolate. This is the one I love in the winter, like in tea, but they have all kinds of flavors, including spicy flavors for those that like spicy stuff. So to get this deal and to claim your free sample pack, just use my link. That's drinkelement.com/indigo or drinklmnt.com/indigo. Place your order and you will get your free sample pack. Element is a huge supporter of my channel and they really make it possible for me to bring you all of my crazy experiments, both in my diet and in the kitchen. And I just really appreciate their support. So I had 2 days off in between the sardine fast and the egg fast. I maintained my weight between the 2 challenges. During the egg fast, I lost another 1.3 pounds. I did see my weight rebound from that after I got off of the egg fast. I had 3 days in between the egg fast where I was eating regularly, and then I had 1 day where I attempted the fat fast and then failed at it and decided not to finish the day as a fat fast and ate like just a regular high protein meal. So I pretty much had 4 days in between the egg fast and my last 80-20 challenge that I did. And in that time, I did regain some weight. After the egg fast, I was 155.3. And then when I started the 80-20, I was 156.1. So I was up 0.8 pounds, which can't really complain about that. That's a pretty normal amount of fluctuation. And I was really interested to see what would happen to my weight going into the 80-20 with keeping the protein at 100 grams, because in order to get that math to work out just right, you have to eat a fair amount of calories. I knew it was going to be a little bit above my normal calories, and most of that, above my normal calories was fat, because typically I don't eat more than 200 grams of fat in a day. And for those 2 days, I did have to eat more than 200 grams of fat in order to hit my fat macros. So when I started, I was 156.1. After day 1, I got on the scale and I was 157.3. So I gained 1.2 pounds after the first day of eating that 80% fat. I had around like 2,400 calories. And so I was like, am I just going to gain back my whole 5 or so pounds that I had lost from all of the sardine fast and everything? But then I found the next day after eating 80-20 again, or 80% fat again, and those 100 grams of protein, I was back down 1.2 pounds. So I was back down to where I started, which was 156.1. So it was a wash as far as weight for those 2 days of 80-20, which I'm really happy about. Now, I do want to say that I'm not making any assessments about like an 80% fat diet Obviously, 2 days is not enough to decide if it's the right diet for me long term or not. And my goal in, trying this, there's a chicken that's real loud back there. My goal in trying this was not to decide if I needed to do 80-20 long term. And obviously, if I wanted to decide that, I would do much longer than 2 days. My goal really for doing the experiment with the 80-20 and keeping the protein at 100 grams there, I wanted to see if throwing in some days like that with the 80-20 and the 100 grams of protein, if that would bump up my ketones. I'm trying to find little tricks and little tools to throw into my lifestyle that will bump up my ketones every once in a while. And I know there's lots of debate about whether we should chase ketones or not chase ketones. And I've been kind of on both sides of that at different points in my journey. And this experiment was really focused on just seeing how I felt. How can I decide if I should chase ketones or not chase ketones if I don't know how I feel at different levels of ketones in my bloodstream? And so that was like the main thing that I was wanting to find out with this challenge. Well, two main things. What I can do with my diet and lifestyle to get my ketones up. And then once I figure that out, how I feel when my ketones are at those levels, so I can decide if it's worth it or not to put in the effort to get those higher ketone numbers. Because there are some people, very, very smart people, that just swear by the high ketones. And, if you don't have the ketones in your blood, you're not really on a keto diet, and they're just going to heal all of your problems. And the higher the ketones, the better. Of course, not getting into ketoacidosis, of course. But then there are lots of people on the other side that say, just eat lots of protein and it will mess with your ketone numbers, but it doesn't matter. You're still in ketosis. You're just burning up the ketones, or, if you're more fat adapted, you just use the ketones and they don't end up floating around in your bloodstream. And like I said, I've been on both sides of that coin, and there's not just like one right person that I just am going to listen to. What I am really interested in is just how I feel. Like I said, I'm going to try it out. And I had the opportunity to use the CKM. If I hadn't have had that opportunity, I probably would not have done any of these challenges, honestly, because I was pretty happy eating my higher protein diet. I was feeling pretty good, not losing any weight, even though I have, a good 15-20 pounds that I could lose. But that's not the most important thing in my life anymore. And so it was kind of like weight loss was on the back burner a little bit. And so I just had this opportunity with the CKM, and I'm like, I really want to make the most of it and get as much information as I can. And I feel like I really did. And I was surprised at how much better my brain felt on just a little bit higher ketones. Normally, if I'm eating my keto diet that's higher protein, somewhere between 100 and 150 grams of protein per day, and usually a 1-to-1 ratio of protein to fat, and keeping my carbs anywhere from 10 to 50 is where it's been recently. When I do that, my ketones run 0.0 to around 0.5. I don't get much higher than that. And honestly, that's considered not even in nutritional ketosis. There are different people that have different opinions on that, but it seems to be pretty accepted that 0.5 and above is where you want to be if you want to consider yourself in ketosis. So even though my diet was still very low carb, definitely considered low carb, I was not getting into very deep ketosis very often. And I did find that when I was able to increase my ketones up to 0.8 to 1.7, I definitely saw a benefit to my brain and just the brain function and just the ease of being able to speak and think at the same time. And those are things that are really, really important to me. So it did give me an encouragement to put a little extra effort into trying to get those ketones a little more often. Now, I'm still not one of those that thinks that you have to be in these super deep states of ketosis all the time. Unless you have epilepsy, unless you're fighting cancer or some other chronic disease, then that's a completely different story. But just for me, looking for my optimal health, I don't think that I have to be in super deep ketosis all the time. But I am, like I said, more motivated now to put the effort in to get into ketosis a little more often. Hence the experiments, trying to figure out what I need to do. Because I'm not looking for just a diet that I eat every day that gets me into ketosis, because I'm finding that it has to be pretty low protein for that to happen for me, and lower calorie as well. And I'm not willing to give up the benefits of having a higher protein amount in my diet and staying nourished. I find that like fasting and these super ketogenic, super high fat, lower protein diets, they're great for getting ketones up. And ketones do serve a huge purpose in the body. But when you eat that low of fuel and nutrients, especially if you go down the route of fasting, there's ways to get too low on the nutrients. And I don't want to do that. I'm not going to give up like feeling nourished in order to get the higher ketones. So I'm interested in some kind of a hack, really. And of course, there's always exogenous ketones that you can do. That's not something that I'm super excited about spending lots of money on and using often. I would rather find some kind of a way to incorporate certain types of days into my diet to get those higher ketone levels rather than purchasing exogenous ketones. Not that that's a bad choice, and a lot of people do that. Even Dom D'Agostino, which is like one of the world leading ketone experts, he eats a higher protein diet, and he knows that's going to bring his ketones down. So he has exogenous ketones every single day. And so that's definitely a legitimate choice, just not something I am excited to do. So I'm looking for ways to incorporate different types of eating strategies into my life in order to get those ketones up a little bit. Now, I know some of you guys are screaming at me, and I have heard these comments in previous videos. You're screaming at me, just fast. If you just do a 48-hour fast or a 72-hour water fast every once in a while, you could get your ketones up. And I totally agree that that is a legitimate strategy for getting ketones up. For me personally, I really struggle with fasting. And what I have found wearing the CKMs, I've had two. In my first experience with the CKM, I tried to fast and I did a 23-hour fast. That's as far as I could make it. And my ketones never got above 0.5. For whatever reason, fasting for me, I'm sure I would get there. I don't think I would drop dead before my ketones started rising, but it takes a lot for my body to go into that fat burn mode when just eating nothing. So I have to endure, I don't know how long because I haven't done it, but a long time of not getting into ketosis and just feeling like I'm starving to death, which is not pleasant. And I found actually that through these experiments, both through the sardine fast and the egg fast, and even the 80-20, I was able to get higher ketones faster than I was while I was fasting. So it could have to do with, just consuming fat, and that kind of primes your ketone pumps or something. And that helped. But for me, fasting just does not seem to be the right tool for me. And I know it is the right tool for a lot of people. I hear from so many people that fasting has changed their life and they do it easily and they love it. For me, I'm just not that person. And so that's why I'm doing all these experiments and trying to figure it out. And I understand that that doesn't make sense to some people. And that if you are one of those people that finds fasting super easy and you like bump into ketosis really quick, then it'd be like, well, why would you go through all of these crazy experiments? And it's just because my body is, I don't know, more resistant to that. And I really have tried, because some people will say, just fast more. It's like a muscle. And I totally agree with that. And I do think if I really wanted to, I could push myself to be able to do it. I don't know how long it would take, but there was a period where I did OMAD for an entire month, and I did like 20 to 23 hour fasts every single day for 30 days. By the end of it, I hadn't lost any weight, which tells me my body was not tapping into fat stores to keep me nourished. And I just felt like I was starving to death every single day. And I was having trouble not overeating during my one meal of the day. It was just the wrong choice for me. And so I'm interested in other strategies. So that is why I am doing all these crazy experiments. So moving forward, I do think that both the egg fast and the sardine fast are very reasonable strategies that I could use in order to bump up my ketones. I don't know that I would do 3 whole days at a time. That's just a lot. 2 days seemed a lot more doable. So I might throw in a couple of days of something like that at some point. I don't know. And I'm still trying to figure that out. I found that keeping my protein at around 75 grams or lower seemed to be really important for me to get the ketones bumped up. I did see my ketones increase a little bit on the 80% fat diet when I was eating really high calorie and I was making sure I was getting 100 grams of protein per day. I did see my ketones go up a little bit. There were like some humps where it went up to 0.8, 0.9, and then on actually the night after day 2, I saw them go up to 1.1. So that was fascinating to see. And I think that if I did an 80% fat diet, long term and kept my protein at that 100 grams, maybe I would gain some weight because that's a lot of calories and a lot of fat grams. I felt like I was eating too much. Like it was too much for me. But maybe I could, continue to see those ketones increase if I were to do that. I did not enjoy that diet though. I really did not enjoy it. I didn't enjoy feeling uncomfortably full. I didn't enjoy eating tiny, tiny little bits of protein. I just didn't enjoy it. And so I'm not motivated to adopt that as my regular diet, even though I do think I could get a little bit higher ketones doing that. I'm more excited about incorporating some more ketogenic days and then more higher protein regular days. So if I were to do some more ketogenic days, what I would probably do is kind of model the macros after the macros I got on the egg fast. And so that was 1,400 calories, 1,500 calories, 75 grams of protein, and then the rest of those calories coming from fat for the most part, a little bit of carbs in there. And I think doing that 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, every once in a while, I think that will bump up my ketones to a decent level. And then what I did find, which I was really excited about, is when I put in the work to bump up my ketones, I could go back to my regular higher protein diet. And for a few days, about 2 days, I was able to maintain those higher ketone levels. So they didn't just go back all the way down as soon as I ate a steak. I did keep those ketone levels a little higher for a little longer. So anyways, that's a lot of rambling about thoughts and what I learned. And like I said, I don't have a concrete plan of what I'm doing, but I feel like I have some tools now and I feel like I can use them moving forward. And you will be hearing about that and seeing that because I bring you along on my journey every Wednesday. I do my Wellness Wednesday and just bring you along on whatever it is that's going on with me and wellness and nutrition and diet and all of that stuff. So I will be sharing more. I hope you guys enjoyed all of those experiments. I definitely enjoyed them a lot. As the CKM technology becomes more readily available, maybe it's something that I'll be able to get my hands on again and do more experiments. After going through those experiments, I had so many ideas, all these different variables that needed testing, these macros, but without dairy and, all of these different things. And so it would be very fascinating to get another one at some point. I will see about that, but I don't have another one on the horizon at any point soon, but maybe at some point. And I definitely will be sharing as the SciBio sensor becomes available. It's still kind of in between the Kickstarter and when they're really going to go on sale to the public. And I don't have any details on when that exactly is going to happen, but I will keep you updated if I hear anything. So anyways, I'm going to leave this video here. I hope you enjoyed that extremely long ramble. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me know if you've had any insight into your diet, if you've done experiments, and if you've learned anything that you're going to, like keys that you're going to incorporate in your diet from here on out. I would love to hear it down in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.